Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all of the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we are going to be discussing 2 episodes of HEA. So I wanted to get this older one out to you this week, or technically last week by the time you're hearing this. The week was pretty busy, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately. My brother is graduating on Friday, so that's why I wasn't able to get another episode out to you at all. So the plan that I'm going to be doing with this episode, which you're going to see something very similar with other episodes as well this week, is I'm giving you all of the HEA ones that are older. There is obviously a new one now. I'm recording this on a Saturday, so it actually hasn't even aired yet, but there's going to be a new one, obviously, but that's going to be its own episode. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do HEA episode 12 and 13 in its own episode, and then you will get, 14? 14 in its own episode as normal, so we can finally do some catch up. So that's the plan for this. Like I said, you are going to see something similar with other episodes just so we can finally catch up, but I will talk about that when we do those episodes. So because this is going to be a fairly jam-packed episode, I'm not going to do any hot goss in this one. There will be hot goss in an episode, but it's just not going to be this one. And it might not be the other older ones either, just because it's so jam-packed. So that's the plan. But without further ado, let's discuss the first episode, episode 12 of 90 Day HEA, Pornocchio. And that's supposed to be Pinocchio, but Pornocchio. There we go, Pornocchio. Okay, I figured it out. That's the title of this episode. So let's start with Patrick and Thais. So, time to get up, John. And apparently, not only was John drunk last night, but he was drunk eating Thais's cake. And he's like, it was delicious. Then you also see that he left a mess. He's like, I didn't do that. I didn't make that mess. She's like, but you had my cake. So clearly you had to use a plate to eat the cake. And he's like, I didn't use a plate. I just used my hands. He just used his hands. And we actually see a clip of him eating with his bare hands. Bare hands. It's pretty gross. But he was drunk. It is what it is. So he's like, so what are we doing today? And they're going to be going out to Jose's ranch to go check it out for... Is her name Khaleesi? Khaleesi, yeah. Is it Khaleesi or Elise? It's Elise. I'm getting confused. Because you know they named her after Khaleesi. Lord. Anyway. Yeah, it's Elise. Yeah, they're checking it out for Elise's birthday party. But Thais doesn't really want to do it at Jose's because it's like 2 hours away from the city. Obviously, it needs to be convenient for her family to get to, and she don't want to do it there. But she also worries that Jose will charge to do the party there, which we'll get to in a minute. So we're on the way there. Thais needs to go pee while they're on the way because it's a long time. So yeah, she's going to need to go pee. And she's like, it's been too long. So she's like, I can stop here. I'm peeing my pants. So he's like, but there's no privacy. But she has no issues peeing on the side of the road. She'd done it before. And I mean, you gotta go. But she just goes behind the car and she's just peeing behind the car. And she's like, I peed my feet. And she's like giggling because she's peed her feet. But we're also now there at Jose's. And John just wants to make sure Jose isn't up to shit, which he is up to shit. He clearly always up to shit, but he's like, he loves his money. And Patrick is really generous because Patrick is trying to buy his father's love. That's all he's doing. He's trying to buy his father's love. And I think the sad part about it is, which I can't remember if it's this episode or the episode after this, but we do find out, like, well, obviously we knew his mom was dying. We knew this, but she has passed. And I feel like he thinks like this is the only parent I have left. And the only way that I can have his affection is to basically give him what he wants. And Jose takes advantage. Jose doesn't care. I mean, maybe somewhere deep down there he loves his son, but he loves his money more. And it's so sad to see. Anyway, Jose's the worst. Anyways, let's continue. So we're at the ranch now, and Jose sees John, and he's like hugging him, and and he looks like happy to see him. I don't know how genuine it is, but he does look happy to see him. And John looks completely uncomfortable. And John says, yeah, I haven't seen you maybe like 20 years, And he's like, you could trust him. Oh, sorry, you couldn't trust him. He gives like an example, which clearly this happened, where he bought them a moped, or bought John a moped, or maybe also bought someone a moped. And then 2 months later, sold the moped. That's fucking sick. You give these kids something like a moped, and then you basically just take it away from them because the value of it is more important to you than the happiness of a child with the moped. Like, this guy, this is the person that Patrick is just hell-bent, and I get it, it's his dad, but he's so hell-bent on having a relationship with him, and it's like, but why? For what? Anyway. So, they're looking around now, the branch, and of course, as to be expected, Jose says, there's things that needs to be done, okay? We need some rocks, this rock wall, and he's like, why? Oh, the party, gotta make it look good. And he's like, I something about a fence or something, I don't remember. He has the material, but he needs to hire someone to do it. Oh, and what else? Trim the trees. The trees need to be trimmed too, And Thais is like, no, that's extra money. They already have to pay for the party itself, the food, the whatever decorations they want to do. They have to get tables out there. They already have to do everything for the party, right? And you now want to charge them to do this extra shit that no one's going to give a shit about. No one's going to give a shit about the rocks. Okay? No one's going to give a shit about this fenced up thing you have. The trees look perfectly fine. Okay? And if anything, you own the fucking ranch. This is your fucking property. If you need the trees to be trimmed, then trim the fucking trees. If you can't handle trimming your own trees because you are older, I'll give you that, then you hire someone to trim your fucking trees. You are a property owner. This is your fucking homestead, then you fucking take care of it. This fucking guy. And Patrick is just like, oh, he's family. No, Patrick, you big doof. He might be your family, and I get that. But a line does have to be drawn in the sand to protect yourself, to protect your family that you've created with Thais. And you don't even know how to fucking do that. Like, are you kidding? Like, no. Anyway, so Thais, yeah, I guess I says no. He's like, well, I need the money. He's like, I'm not charging you to do the party here. Well, why would you? Why would you charge the party? Before I put my thoughts in here, let's go to John first, because John says, but it's your house. It's your granddaughter. There's nothing wrong helping family. Sorry, that's Patrick. Let's continue with my thoughts. So that's what he said. That's his granddaughter. I have never known anyone to charge family to do anything. Okay. I've had birthday parties either at usually at my grandparents, whether it's my mom's parents or my dad's parents or whatever. They didn't charge. You don't fucking charge. What the fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean? You pay for what you need to pay for to make sure the party is going smooth and it's your vision or whatever. But you don't charge family to do it. You don't say, here, give me this, and then you also have to pay for everything else. As an example, I'll say this right now. I have a family member who's getting married soon, and we're doing a bridal shower for her. She technically lives elsewhere. It's not really pinpointing. She lives in Ottawa, which is much further than where we live here. But they're doing it here closer to where I live. And they're not doing it even at her grandmother's. Her grandmother's not doing great, and so it's a lot for her to do it at her house. But we're going to be doing it at one of my aunts, which is also her aunt, which is her grandmother's sister. Okay? Hopefully keep up. And that's what we're doing. We're doing it there. My aunt's not charging to do it there. My aunt's going to be cooking a lot. Okay? And again, my aunt's, again, like I said, her grandmother's sister, so they're all older. But she's going to be cooking a lot. Okay? And we're not charging. She's not charging. You know, family members going to pitch in, we have one aunt coming in with food. You have my grandmother coming in with whatever food she can handle to do. Because again, my grandmother's not well either. So, you have people coming in and doing whatever. So, but you don't charge family. You don't fucking do that. He missed the goddamn memo. And we'll get to, I love Carlos, okay? First of all, number one, Carlos, I can look at him forever. He is good looking man, okay? But then when he comes in and he's like, what the fuck? Exactly. You don't charge your family. He is your son. This is your granddaughter. Why would you charge them? Anyway, Patrick, like the big doof he is, literally says, well, nothing wrong with my family. He's my dad. So, my dad wanted me to send him money. This was years ago. He was being catfish, let's be real here. So I had to put my foot down. But he asked me for money to give to whoever this catfish person was. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. Tried masking it to something else. I said, no, I'm not doing that. Will I help you with medication? Absolutely. I'll try my best to help you there. But, there has to be a line drawn in the sand. Just because he's your father doesn't mean anything. You damn well know your father was not a great dad. And here he is giving you the attention that you didn't have before. And you want to make sure you can hold on to it. And I think like everyone else, that the only reason that you're doing it is that you are afraid he won't love you anymore. Which is fucking horrible. It's fucking horrible. What you need is to not help your father. What you need is therapy to go through the childhood trauma that you experienced. And not only that, the separation anxiety you have with your brother, which please don't ever stop. But honestly, for health reasons, mental health reasons, you probably should figure that out. But anyways, let's continue. So John is like, I don't know. I smell bullshit. And Tyus is like, it's not just your money. Thank you. It's not just his money. It's their money. Now he's maybe the one going in and working, but guess what? As soon as you sign them papers, what's mine is yours. So it's ridiculous. You can't keep giving your and her money to him. You have a fucking baby. That's expensive. Okay? And so this is ridiculous. And Patrick's response to this is very telling. Again, just so telling is, well, it means more to him than it does for us. What does that even mean? So you're basically saying that because he needs the money more, we don't actually really need. You have a fucking child that is only going to get more expensive as time goes on. Okay? And you're putting all of the money that you could maybe be putting away to save for your child in the future because you just never know what can happen. Your wealth that you may have may not always be there. And you could be putting that aside for your child. Instead, you're giving it to your father who doesn't fucking need it. Who can fucking figure it out. Just like John says, you have a nice shirt there, you're looking real good. You have this nice property that I'm sure ain't cheap to own and upkeep. You're figuring that out. You have an apartment that you get rent from. That should be your source of income. That should be your source from what you get from Patrick and Thais. You shouldn't be asking for over and beyond that. And he already increases the rent on them, which is questionable to say the least. But you don't question anything. Your dad just needs it more than you do. I can't stand his dad. And I think the reason I keep talking about this is because nothing irks me more than to see a father, or any parent really, but especially a father who's been absent for most of Patrick's life, demand in the way that he does. He is a horrible fucking father. And Patrick refuses to see it. But anyway, that's it for them. Let's move on to Rob and Sophie. So let's just get through this, because honestly, I'm tired of this fucking storyline. I'm tired of both of them. We don't have fucking together anymore, so I don't even really give a shit. I'm really angry that I have to talk about Claire at all in the next couple of episodes, but we're going to try to get through it. Once we start talking about them, I am going to do a trigger warning. You can bypass this if you'd like, because Claire is garbage. And yeah, so let's get into it. So we got Tarai back, y'all. So they're at the gym, okay, both of them, and apparently Tarai's here for work. You mean he's here to film, but Tarai's a hot man, okay, I am going to say this. And Tarai lifting those weights is, by the way, he's going to get out of me. So he says, so when you come back to LA, like, why the fuck are you even here? And Rob says, well, you know what, I've been thinking about it. He's like, Austin has been a lot, since, shit's hit the fan basically with Sophie. And he says, it doesn't feel like a marriage anymore, which, they're not. They're not. In the emotional sense anyways, legally, sure, but you're not a married couple. She dipped like 2 months after you guys moved out there, like, you know what I mean? Anyway, he says, it feels like we're just like a toxic boyfriend and girlfriend relationship. Listen, you don't need to be in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship for it to be toxic, but yes, it is toxic. They're both toxic. She has this expectation of what she wants, which to me, I'm still going to stand by. I feel like it's somewhat unrealistic in the way she thinks, and we're going to find out where she gets it from very soon. And then also on his side, he's so much of a narcissist, he can't get out of his own way sometimes. Because at the end of the day, some of the things that he said in the last episode, I totally get where he's coming from. At the same time, he did ruin a good day by acting the way he did. He didn't have to do that. But then again, she also didn't have to react the way she did. So it's just like, they don't know how to communicate with each other. They're incapable of communicating with each other in a way that both benefit from it. And why are you guys together still? Why do you keep trying to beat this dead horse? Both of you, not just him or her, both of them. One of them needs to say, I'm enough. I'm waving flag, enough. So, Troy says, clearly, she isn't here for the right reasons. Listen, I do not think for a second that Sophie came or tried to marry Rob so that she could be in the States. I don't think Sophie gives a shit to be in the States. I don't. Okay. So I'm just going to run through this because I really don't think this is the case. I think Tarai is bullshitting. I don't think this is what's going on. I just don't. It's not like she's coming. She lived in England, for fuck's sakes. It's not like England is this third world country, which some of those people also really don't want to leave, depending on the country they're in. But it's not like she's leaving a third world country. She left England, for fuck's sakes, you stupid fuck. It's fucking England. You know what I mean? It's not, he's such an idiot, but let's get through this. So, yeah, clearly she wasn't here for the right reasons, when she can't stay in the house consistently, which I hear that, like, you're married to him. You should be trying to stay in the house and fixing the problem. But the problem is that you have this escape with Kay. So you leave, which is, I know, like, on one hand, some people think like you don't have to live with each other or whatever, that's your choice. But when you're leaving a situation because you're mad at them, that's not how you handle things. This is not how you handle things. You always have this escape. And I don't understand why she keeps escaping to Kay all the time. Sophie is a person who has a very toxic mind that needs to be dealt with. It needs to be dealt with. Which is why she is the one that needs therapy more than anyone else in this fucking scenario. And that's the biggest problem for her. Rob's a whole other thing, but that I think the issue is she needs to find why she needs to keep holding on to these toxic relationships with Rob, with her mom, and why she always has to escape in the way she does. It's fight or flight, and she's leaving. She says, "Fight, please," and she leaves. There's something like, I don't know. Anyway, he's like, Rob needs love, No, he doesn't. Fuck you. Like, he's not this innocent bystander of Sophie. Like, don't play that shit. Anyway, so then Rob says, we haven't had sex, like, at all. Like, I mean, it's been months and months and months, right? At this point. There's no fucking way Rob's not cheating on her. And I'm sorry, I don't know. She says she isn't. I want to believe her. I do. And maybe I do, I think I'm more leaning to she probably isn't cheating on him, but I just don't know. For him though, for sure, there's no fucking way that man isn't cheating on her. There's just no fucking way. Sorry. I don't believe it for a second that he's not. Maybe that's just me because I've been scarred one too many times by men, but there's just no fucking way. But, I mean, again, I just know women, it doesn't matter how much you love a man, and I've been there and I've done that. I loved my ex very much. So prior to when we got married, though, he wasn't around, and he did not want to be around. So I ended up cheating on him. And he was cheating on me. That's why he didn't want to be around either. So it's like, I know how toxic situations can be, and I just don't know if she is or she isn't, but I know for a fact he is definitely cheating on her. So what's the fucking point? You know what I mean? Anyway, and Taraya's like, is she potentially getting it elsewhere? Which I don't know. I don't know. And even Rob says, I don't know. And he says, I hope not. But again, I don't think he isn't. I think he is. So it's just like, I think I don't want to fault him for thinking that way, because I think we would all agree, we would all think the same way when you haven't had sex with the person who you are supposed to be with, slash married to at this point as well. I think we would all think the same thing. Is she getting it from somewhere else? We would. So I know we all hate Rob, me included, but we would all think the same way. But I just don't want him to. The issue that I have is when you go the bisexual route and it's like, well, she's getting it from Kay because, she keeps running over there anyway. I don't want that. And at least they didn't do that this time around. So that's fine, because I mean, I don't know where Kay stands in her sexuality too, right? We're just assuming because, well, she is. So, maybe Kay is too. Like, no, that's fucked up. Don't do that. But so, yeah, it's it's hard not to think that way. Even if she isn't, it's hard not to think that way. Anyway, so Churai says, listen, I would need to get my rocks off. See, men. That's why I said what I said before. But I think he more says, like, if I'm with someone, I would need to get my rocks off. Like, what the fuck? Sure. Again, here's the thing. I'm going to say that's number one. Women are not here for your entertainment, Rob and Turai. We're just not, okay? Just because we're together doesn't mean you're entitled to my body. You're just not. On the other hand, I can't imagine how upset I could be at my partner to not want him in that way. I don't understand that. I don't. I mean, again, they're very toxic. So there is that. So there's a lot going on that they need to figure out. And it's hard when you're not even living with him. So there's that too. It gives you that distance and makes it a little easier. But I just don't understand, as a woman, not wanting him at some point, even if you're doing it to get your own rocks off. I've done that too. So it's like, I don't understand how you don't want him in that way. If you love him and you find him desirable, clearly you have to love him, or you need to be sexually attracted to him to be with him in some sense. So I don't know. I don't get it. And maybe this is me. I'm very, listen, I love sex, whatever. So that's me. But it's just like, I don't get it. I don't. But I think, again, with everything that's come out about what Sophie has kind of potentially dealt with in life, which I have talked about in a previous episode, I do wonder if there's sexual trauma there, and she just thinks very differently, which I have to remember that can create a lot of sexual trauma. And maybe she just doesn't think the same way that I do, or maybe others do, or whatever. And she's perfectly fine not being intimate with anyone. So, yeah, I do have to think about that too. So then they were talking about, applying for the green card. What did you do before or after she left? And he said before. And Tara's like, you see, she's using you. Bullshit. And she's like, or he says, wouldn't she have to stay with you in order to get the green card or whatever? He says, I think he says yes. I think he says yes, or he thinks so, or whatever. But I don't know the laws around that. But at the end of the day, you're still married to her, whether she's with you or not. I don't know if it so much matters where she's living, more so than that you're legally married. So yeah, to Rise, I think she's using you. She is just stringing you along. And Rob was like, if she is playing me, I mean, a round of applause to her because, well, she'd be fooling me. Which again, that's why I said, like, I don't think that's what's happening here. And he says, he names off all the things that it's like, if she was using me, what, or using someone, as I say generally, to get to the United States, why me? I'm the last fucking person. I don't have money. Okay. She came here with no fucking bathroom. And it's not like she didn't know that he didn't have a fucking bathroom. Okay. If you remember, she went to the States prior to the visa and stayed with him for like, 6 months or something like that. She knew there was no fucking bathroom. Okay. He's like, who the fuck does that? Right? He's like, that's why he does not believe for a second that she came here with that intention. And I don't think she did. I think she very much was in this for the right reason. You have to be with a man where you don't have a fucking bathroom in the same vicinity that you live in. Okay. You have to like go across a courtyard to get to the bathroom with all the womanly functions that one goes through, whether it's menstrual or even after sex. Can you imagine? Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, they have a kid. No, that's gross. No, I'm sorry. I went there, but you have to like clean yourself off. Like, as a woman, gets into shit. So it's just, yeah. I'm with him on that for sure. And yeah, he says like, I just don't want to get divorced. He didn't come into this to get divorced. So he doesn't want to do that, which I get that. Anyway, we're going into the next scene now with Sophie. So trigger warning for Claire being in this scene. If she triggers you for being a bad fucking mom for everything that she's done to Sophie as of recently, please bypass. I would maybe say 5 or so minutes. I would try to put the timestamps in there. So definitely look in the show notes to see the timestamp. I'll try to remember to do it so that you can bypass her. So, starting now. Claire fucked up her leg, y'all. Oh, her and John broke up. She basically says that. So how her leg got fucked up, we're going to kind of just do the John thing. Her leg fucked up. She said that he got into a car accident with her in the car. And he also didn't pay for car insurance. So she can't even claim shit through his insurance. So she can't use his accident benefits because he doesn't have it. So she's like, I basically told him his breath stinks and he's bad in bed. We broke up. Jesus. So she's like, Soph, you need to learn from me. Learn from what from you? You have had bad choice in men all your fucking life. Let's be fucking real here. And you want her to learn from you. She's learning from you, all right. She really is. So yeah, you gotta leave, Rob, and all this. And she's like, well, what if I do leave? And she's like, what am I gonna do? And then I'd be happy. Which, yes. On one hand, you shouldn't be fucking telling her to leave him if she doesn't want to leave him. This is not your fucking life. This is her life. If she wants to stay with him for whatever reason, then she should. Okay. On the other hand, she seems to think her happiness or her whatever is bound to a man's or whatever. And that's not true. Your life can be bound by just you. Be happy. And trust me, I went through the same struggles. My relationship was slightly different, but through the same struggles with my divorce and questioning whether or not this was the right choice for me. Should I be doing this? It's one of the best decisions I ever made. One of the best decisions I ever made. And I know maybe it doesn't feel like that now, But trust me, it's going to be the best decision she ever makes if, if she ends up making that decision, which, again, as we know, somewhere on the line does happen. So, Kay's like, we don't need men. Again, no, we don't. She said, but I hold on to what Rob used to be, which is always what happens, but is usually a step in the direction of a divorce eventually, or a breakup eventually, because you can't hold on to what Rob was. That person no longer exists. Or he was love bombing you. Who knows? Playing the long game. We don't know. But that person doesn't exist. Who you have now is what exists. And, again, I do think that Sophie has this vision, this unrealistic vision of what her marriage looked like, when that is not what it is. You are not always going to have someone who's going to say all these nice things that you want them to say. Like, that's not realistic. But that is what she wants. And if he isn't giving it to her, I don't know who the fuck will. Someone who is probably going to shower her in everything that she wants in life in order to, they're going to pay to keep her around. Basically, they're going to get to like a sugar daddy. But you're not going to get that from what could be, quote unquote, a real relationship. You are not going to get that from him all the time. Right? But if that's what you want, then you know what you need to do. End it. Just do it. Like, who cares? But that's a journey she has to go through. But Claire says, I think she won't change or he won't change, someone won't change. So she's like, you can't just stay for love, Claire says, because that's what stupid bitches do. Excuse me? I hear what she's saying. Love ain't enough. What does love got to do with it? All of those things. You need a lot more to sustain a committed relationship, for sure. It's not just about love. All these other things have to align as well. But stupid bitches, coming from you, Claire, you're okay. Sounds about right. And she's like, look at your little face. You're sad. You're sad. And the thing too is that I want to add here is what I actually didn't write it down, but I remember it, was that she said to her, you just need someone who's going to be nice to you. And I thought, oh, really? So that's where she gets it from. She gets it from you. She gets it from you because she constantly says to him, just be nice to me, to say something nice to me. When that's not always going to be realistic. She gets it from you. She gets everything from you. She gets that from you. She gets the insecurities from you and the men you put in her life. She gets it from you. I hate Claire. I hate Claire. I want her off my screen. I never want to see her again. Anyway, that's it for Sophie and Rob. Let's move on to Gino and Jasmine. So we kind of hear him say, can you do me a favor? Can we, just be on the same page today? Okay. And apparently they're going to be going to a cookout or reunion or whatever with his family. And we see him picking up some of the food. They're going to this place. And while they're sitting there waiting for the food, the looks that she's giving him, they would fucking kill. She fucking hates him right now. He's like, she threw a smoothie at me. It was out of control. Calm down, Gino. She threw them at the floor. Or she flew at the floor. And it's happened to hit you a little bit. And we'll get to that in a minute. He's like, so are you planning to act like this at the reunion? Or And she's like, what? And he's like, this is important to me. I don't want them to see the tension between us. Who cares? If they don't like each other, they don't like each other. That's fucking marriage. And she's like, well, are you going to apologize? And he's like, you should be apologizing to me. You got the smoothie on my week-old shoes. This man is literally like, you just stepped on my J's or some shit. You know what I mean? First of all, number one, they're fucking ugly. Calm down. Number two, it's a fucking smoothie. Just wipe it the fuck off. They look like leather running shoes, so you just wipe the fuck off. This fucking guy. I can't with him. Anyway, she says, I didn't throw it at you. I threw it on the floor. And you just happened to be there. Exactly. And this, oh God, trigger warning for misogyny. He says, that's just not how women act. Excuse me? That's not how women act. How should women act? Gino? You fucking guy. How? He's like, I do so much for you. I just want some appreciation. And she says, listen to me. If I hear the word appreciation again, I'm gonna kill you. Okay? And she says in the moment, if anyone doesn't appreciate, it's him. For all the things that I do for him, she's taking care of the home, right? And he acts like he is the typical man, okay, who rescued me from a third world country. And she's like, fuck you. She does it in the moment. It's great. And she's like, the only person's appreciation I care about is my mom's. Because she pulled me out of her vagina, and that shit hurts. And she says this to him. This is so funny. But she's right. And the food finally comes, and Jasmine just walks away. He's like, are you going to help me carry them out? And she's like, no, you figure it out. I'm not helping you. Man, he is an asshole. Okay, I'm going to say this right now. He's acting like this was a big thing. Anything she said wasn't unreasonable, in my opinion, honestly. I mean, I know she can go over the top, but I mean, she did. She took her shoes off and she walked home without shoes on. Over the top. A statement, but over the top. But more so about what she was saying, I totally get her. And I do understand him saying I've done all this shit or whatever. I get it. And everything's expensive. I get it. But, sir, this is what you signed up for. If money is running out, go back to fucking work. Go to fucking work. You were supposed to be out of work forever. And what I love in this moment, oh my God, let's get to it, guys. Let's get to the cookout now, reunion, whatever the fuck. So we're there now. And we got family, along with Uncle Marco, on the drums. Singing this lovely number. Ready? Let's do this. Of course I wrote it down, guys. It's great. So it says, down south. Down south. Thank you, God, for family. People don't think we're from the south. If you look at Italy, we're from Sicily. Down south. Down south. Imagine little Gino without a hat. What do you all think about that? Don't worry, 'cause Jasmine's here. She comes from way down south. Down south. And scene. What the fuck was the song? What the fuck was the song? This was the fucking stupidest song I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. Who wrote this? A 2-year-old? What the fuck is happening here? And then the singing? Jesus Christ. The fucking singing. It was fucking horrendous. What the fuck was this? And he thinks like, this is great entertainment. This is what we usually do. What the fuck? Oh, fuck. There's just, no. What the fuck? I was literally watching this the first time, which I remember my reaction, because again, this was almost 3 weeks ago now. I remember thinking, I'm like, what the fuck is this? I was horrified. I didn't know Halloween already came. It's only June, and Halloween came early this year, y'all. What the fuck? Never again. Never again. You could have put in shit into ChatGPT and got a better result for a song than this. This is when I'm okay with AI coming in. And I'm not okay with AI coming in. I'm scared. Okay. If you'd like to hear more about how I feel about AI, head over to my other podcast, the Next Take Podcast, where I do discuss AI. We have 3 different episodes, which I think I did provide a snippet of one of the episodes we did. But anyways, I'm scared. Don't like it. Anyways. But yeah, that's the song. So yeah, so Gino's like, great job. And I wrote, what the fuck? Okay. So apparently it's a tradition for them to play Italian music. Where was the Italian music? And Jasmine says as much. She's like, that wasn't Italian music. How are we non-Italians knowing that it's not Italian music? You know? When the moon hits the pie, like, or whatever the song goes again, like a big pizza pie, that's amore. That's Italian. You know? Americano, that's Italian. Like, this is not Italian. You're Italian singing this shit, but that doesn't make it Italian music. It's just music? Question mark. Anyways, so Jasmine says that she's only here for Uncle Marco. She loves Uncle Marco like the rest of us. And we find out here too that in this family there are 2 Anthonys. Okay? Or 2 Tonys, I should say, but it's Anthony. Two Tonys in this family. It's, you know, you're an Italian family when you got 2 Anthonys. But let's eat. Mangia. So, Dana apparently forgot Jasmine's vegan food. So, she can't really eat much. So, we talk about Jasmine's birthday and beauty pageant, and she says, yeah, but Gino told me that I can't do it. I can't do the beauty pageant. He's like, no. What I said is that we got to figure out the money. That's what I said. Okay. And we find out here, they said, like, how much is it? $2,500. Now, it's definitely not that a lot for a beauty pageant. I think that's decent anyways. But when you don't have the $2,500 because you're not working, it's a lot. Like, I can't imagine putting in $2,500 into one thing like that, like a beauty pageant anyways. That's a lot. But anyway, Michelle says, that's not bad. And then he's like, let's now bring up the dungeon, even though we weren't supposed to. And she's like, I don't want to be like fake and pretend like everything is okay. This is family after all. We can get opinions. And he says that she thinks I am controlling her. And, you know, not true. I'm not controlling her. If she has to go through you to get feminine products, there's a control factor here. Even if not intentional, there's a control factor here. So she says I was independent. He's like, yeah, but you just got here. It's a process. Which, understandable. Yes, it is a process. And I don't think Jasmine thought that she would be independent right away. But, you know, hopefully with the adjustment of status and everything, her eventually getting a job, like she can gain that back. Totally get all of that. I hear him. But if she can't even if you can't provide her something that is hers in the meantime, even if it's $100, you know, per paycheck that you get, okay, that she can at least go out there and buy the things that she needs. Like, y'all can go grocery shopping together or whatever. But, like, if she can at least have something, and she can go out there and buy a box of fucking tampons when she needs to, or go out there and buy something that she needs or even that she wants. She should be able to do that. And listen, I was all for him taking the time to give her the attention. It's over now. Get back to fucking work. Let's continue. So Michelle says, like everyone else, go back to work. Because really, all you've really been doing is, I'm sorry, I'm confused. She does say this eventually, but not yet. Michelle says that she hasn't really been doing much, not going out or anything. And he says, well, I just took her to the movies. Are you fucking kidding me? That's not what she's saying. She's saying she's not going out on her own, doing this, that, and the other. And you taking her to the movies, you want a fucking prize? Anyway, he's like, and I take her to the gym. It's a lot. And they're like, what? Like, who cares that you're taking her to the gym? God fucking forbid you're taking her to the gym. Are you so fucking lazy that you can't take her to the fucking gym? Take her there, drop her off, and whatever? Are you kidding me? This fucking guy. He's like, I have to drive her back and forth. And Michelle's like, yeah, but she flew here from Panama. Take her to the fucking gym. It's nothing. He's like, yeah, but it is a lot. And she's like, you don't fucking work. Thank you, Michelle. I really love you. Thank you for your service. She's like, you don't fucking work. Okay? You stay home. You stayed home for her. That was the whole thing. And Michelle's like, all he wants to do is fantasy football. Interesting, because that's what Jasmine said before too. That's all I'm saying. He's taking advantage of him not working. He didn't, maybe initially he did this for Jasmine, but he's no longer doing this for Jasmine. He's doing it for him. So, he's like, I just have issues being intimate with her. Say what? How are we now starting to talk about intimacy and the lack thereof? What does that have to do with everything else you just mentioned? Wow. She's literally like, let's talk about the issues that we're having. That is normal to talk about with family or whatever. And then you take it a step fucking further and basically let's just twist the knife some more because it's not going the way you want it to. So let's twist it some more and say, well, I can't even have sex with her. Because, of X, Y, and Z. Fuck you, Gino. Honestly. This is why, for those people who are reality gaze fans and know that they were at one of their shows, and if you listened, she literally said she can't watch back the show because she'll get mad at him all over again. Don't watch this episode, Jasmine. Because yes, I'm mad at him for her. You know what I mean? Like, this is so fucking ridiculous. If my man ever. Are you kidding? Oh. So, it says that, it's because of how she treats me. And, I don't want to be affectionate with someone like that. But you married her. You knew this about her prior to marrying her. And you still married her. Save it, you fucking idiot. It has nothing to do with the fact that she is this way. You knew this and you still married her. Like, fuck you. You fucking love it. You get off on it. Please. Anyway, she's like, shut the fuck up. I think she said that in another moment. And she's like, he has a lot of issues with sex, but if I brought it up, it would hurt him deeply. It has nothing to do with her. So let's get to it. So they're home now. And she's kind of walking Coco in the backyard. And she says, that she enjoyed the family reunion. And he says it could have been better, you know? And I think she says it was better to not like pretend like everything is okay. And he says, I think they were on my side with how you treat me, is what he says. And she's like, were we at the same cookout? Because they said nothing when they brought up the intimacy part of it. And then prior to that, Michelle was on Jasmine's side. And it kind of seemed like Dana was too. You know? Like, this is bullshit. You're full of it. She says, but you brought up the sex conversation, not me. I didn't bring that up. And Jasmine says that he is a gaslighter. I don't know if gaslighting is the right term to use. I understand what she's trying to say, but I don't know if he is. I think it's more that he's delusional. Not so much that he's gaslighting her, he's delusional. And you can't deal with people who are delusional, you know? She's like, he creates an excuse for me. So this is where she's saying he's a gaslighter when it comes to the sex. He says that he will create an excuse for me to yell at him so that he has a reason to not have sex with her. Because he will say, as we've heard before in the previous season 2, or actually 2 seasons ago, it's been too much, that he can't be intimate with her when they're arguing with each other because he doesn't want to anymore or some shit. So that's what she's saying. And she says because he would rather do other things. And basically, I think those other things are that he would rather watch porn or and jerk off, basically. That's what he'd rather do. And she says it to him, says as much to him. And he's like, no, I don't know. But no, I believe her. I fully believe her because this is a topic that has actually come up before, that he's done this before. And I can't remember what season. It might maybe the last season. I can't remember. But I feel like we've heard this narrative before, that he would rather jerk off alone than be intimate with her. Now, I don't know if that's more of a erectile dysfunction type situation. As we know, he does need the blue pills, which is whatever. But I don't know if that's it. But I can definitely understand from a woman's perspective that, like, I want to be intimate with my husband, with my man, and you'd rather go and do it on your own, which, whatever. I don't care if you want to do that on top of, but I also want you to want me, you know? So it's, yeah. But he denies, obviously. And she's very calm when she's talking to him, which is kind of why I believe her. Whereas he is getting very animated. He's actually getting very loud. And I think he actually is like swearing too. And she's like, I'm not swearing at you. I'm not yelling at you. I'm telling you very kindly. This is what I think. Which is why I believe her. Even if she was more animated, I'd still believe her. But yeah, because it makes me think that like he is trying to deflect, right? And he's trying to pretend like that's not what's happening because he doesn't want to be seen as less of a man, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, that's basically it for Gino and Jasmine for this episode. Let's move on to Ashley and Manuel. I can't remember if we had Lauren and Alexi in this episode, so we'll find out when I get there. So Ashley and Manuel. So we are headed to the lawyers to talk post-nap, which I'm so excited to talk about. He says, this is too much. Your cousin got in your head. We're good. We don't need this. Or do we? So we meet Michael Smith, who is our lawyer. And they explain we want to do this. We want to do this at post-nap because he's secretive. I just feel like I don't get enough transparency from him. And he says, Manuel says, I didn't come here for her money. But Mr. Michael Smith says, that sometimes a prenup or postnup can be there could be underlying issues, right? So he says, he's faced to Ashley because we bring up business. He says, your business is considered separate property, which basically is just another word for it. It's yours. It's nothing you need to worry about. However, if your business is making money throughout the duration of the marriage, then he is entitled to half of the earnings of her business during the marriage. So he says, Manuel says, I like to save. She spends all the money. Is the post that potentially could help with this? Well, he says, marriage property includes debts and earnings. So Ashley, you would be entitled to half of his earnings and vice versa. But he is also entitled to pay half of your debt and vice versa. So he didn't say that part. I'm adding that part. So he basically inherited my student loan, Ashley says. Well, no, because that technically is still separate. However, whatever could be interest can be incurred throughout, right? Throughout the marriage, he would have to potentially help with, or any other debts you incur throughout the marriage is what you're entitled to get back. So, but the lawyer does ask, how much is your student loan? Because why the fuck not ask that question? She says, $100K. And Manuel's face when he hears the interpreter say $100K, he's like, what? What the fuck? He's like, what? Are you fucking crazy? He's like, did I hear that right? My guy, are you interpreting correctly? Are you sure you said 100K? What the fuck? He's like, I don't know what is happening. He's floored by the 100K. Now, here's what I'm floored by. This is her student loan, okay? This is what I'm floored by. Now, potentially having 100K in student loans isn't necessarily unheard of, especially if you you didn't attend a community college or anything like that. That could be incurring living expenses that you got throughout from, like, I don't know what equivalent you guys have in the States, but here in Canada or at least here in Ontario, I should say, we have something called OSAP, which is basically Ontario Student Loan Application Program. And that basically is what we have for our student loan. So if you just go to like a community college like I did, you get whatever to cover tuition and whatever you may need for whatever expenses you may need throughout that, whether books and just to live and all that, like you get that. And that is still based on your parents' income, correct, as well. So there's also that. And you'll get some stuff that are considered like benefits that you don't have to pay back or anything like that. But most of it you do have to pay back. So let's say at the end of my schooling, I had roughly, I think it was about $12,000 roughly after, which I'm still paying. But you roughly had about $12,000, and it's the best debt ever. is a student loan debt. So yeah, you have that. Now, if you live off of, like, away from your parents and you need to also live in a dorm, then you get more money because you need to have that living expense to cover the dorm stay as well as your tuition and all of that. And you can see that definitely happen. And obviously this is college, which is going to be cheaper. University is more expensive. But something like 100K is something you see kind of like lawyers kind of get after, which takes them forever to pay back, right? But it's insane to me. Okay, so there's that. Now she has 100K. She says she has 3 different degrees or diplomas. I can't remember all of them, but she has 3 of them. Where's she using them, y'all? She has 3 fucking degrees, or 3 whatever the fucks, and she's not using any of them. She's a fucking witch. A motherfucking witch hoe. She's a fucking witch. Okay. Where the fuck are you using them? She says she's using one of them, which it doesn't, I can't remember which one it is now. When it comes to the business side of things, but it's like, okay, but you acquired said three fucking things, and you're not using any of them. Y'all, she's a fucking lifer. 3. She literally just finished school. Like, come on. Like, right before she married him. She must have just finished school, like, maybe 3 years before. 3. What the fuck are you using them for? I'm so fucking confused. You have acquired 100K in debt, yet you're not using any. This is probably why she charges so much to use her services, because she's trying to pay off her student loan debt. Fuck. I'm so confused. So, he basically says to the lawyer, so I don't have to pay that, right? I'm not fucking paying that. I'm fucking paying her 100K in student loan that she doesn't fucking use. And he says, no, it is her responsibility. She says, what would we do? You know? I can't sleep at night knowing that she has 100K in debt. You know? What about my family? How can I ask her to send money when she has that? Fuckery. Which again, it's not unusual to have student loan, but it's just, he doesn't understand that. But 100K? I don't even understand how she has 100K in student loan debt. What the fuck did you do? And you're not fucking using them. God. Anyway. And he's like, so what about that post-nut? It's looking real good right now. And Ashley's like, I got 3 degrees, and I got D's or whatever. And she's like, I work for myself. But he's like, but you spend on your nails and your clothes. He's like, how much? Ask her how much she spends. Ask her how much she saves. You know? Go ahead. And she's like, I make a couple $100 a month. No, she doesn't. And he's like, where? I see your accounts. Where the fuck is the money? Where the fuck? You don't have that. I fucking love him. She says, which I do agree with. She says he doesn't understand like how much is actually going towards the home, like bills and stuff like that. Like he sees me spending on this and that, but he also doesn't see that I'm paying bills. And Mr. Smith is like, listen, hold on. Pause. Hold on. I'm not a fucking therapist, okay? I'm a fucking lawyer, alright? I'm here to draft some shit up if you know me to draft shit up. I'm here to give you legal fucking advice. That is about it. I'm not here to give you marriage counseling, okay? You don't want fucking marriage advice from a divorce lawyer, okay? So stop your fucking shit. Do you want me to do this fucking post-nup, okay? Alright. Yes, sir. Thank you. So, Manuel's like, draft this shit up. I'm ready to go. I maybe came in here not wanting to do this shit, but I'm ready. Let's do this. Do that fucking post-nup. This fucking bitch. Are you kidding me? She has 100K. Do it. Oh man, it was so good. I say, so you want me to draft one up? All right. So the next step, basically, they were just here. I just want to preface, this was a consultation. They're not getting charged for this consultation. This is what this was. So what they're going to do is come back, actually go through the terms of postnup, and then he'll draft something up, and then they'll come back in, review said draft, maybe make changes, maybe not, and then they're going to sign, and then it's done and over with. So yeah, then he kind of brings like up the debt and whatever, and at the end there. So it's basically that. So yeah, actually we have both Alexi and Lauren, and then Kobe and Emily. So this will be quick. So first, Alexi and Lauren. So now it's 3 days post surgery, and well, we have the war happening now. It started out a week before, and his mom and obviously his brother are alone there because his dad is still there. They're getting like first-hand reports from friends and family about what's going on there. And we see Alexi calling his mom to make sure that all is okay. And they're prepared, she says. They're fully prepared. And he feels like he should be doing more. And when they call his mom, Ariel's smile when she sees her grandma is so sweet. And I'm sure grandma really appreciates having a smile from her granddaughter after everything that's going on right now. And his mom says that the day before they actually had to run to the bomb shelter. And oh God, I can't even imagine. I can't imagine. Alexi, his father, apparently wanted to be on the first flight back home to be with family, but Alexi's son convinced him to just wait it out. He's leaving the next week, so just leave when he's supposed to. And Alexi definitely has contemplated going back to volunteer. He can't necessarily, like, he wouldn't be called to fight in the war because he doesn't live in Israel anymore, I guess. I'm not sure exactly how that works. Maybe it's based on how long you're gone for, and he's been in the States for almost 10 years now, so I guess maybe it depends on how long you've been gone. I don't know. But he wouldn't necessarily be called back. But of course, you do have people in countries going and volunteering. We saw that with Ukraine as well, and some people definitely would volunteer to help out. So, I mean, he definitely thought about it. And Lauren says, obviously, like, I'm against it, but at the same time, she gets it. And that's the thing, I'm with her on that. He has 3 kids, 3 small kids. And on the one hand, it's like, you don't want him going out there and potentially getting hurt or, God forbid, worse, and not being there for his kids, right? On the other hand, it's like, he is exactly why he wants to do it, right? For his kids, he wants to, you just want to go home, back to your home, and have it be the way it is and how you remember it. You want to be able to show your children that too. So it's really sad, with everything, with the wars going on. I mean, this is, like, I'm not the only one. We still have the war in Ukraine as well. And it's just, I don't understand how we live in a world where this happens. It's so fucked. But, and again, I do want to just say this. I have actually seen people and other, in comments and stuff, mention that this is supposed to be fun reality TV. We don't want to talk about this is reality TV, and reality is this war. And you do have, I would have been surprised if we had the storyline of Lauren and Alexi where this isn't being brought up. I would have been surprised. We saw this with Natalie, with Ukraine, Yara with Ukraine. We saw this with them. Was it okay then? Why is it not okay now? I don't know. I'm speculating, but this is their reality. We're talking about a person who is born in Israel, who comes from Israel, and there's a war currently ravaging his home. This is reality. Reality is not this fluffy thing. It's rough. It's hard. It sucks. And this is what he's going through. This is what his family is going through. So shame on anyone who thinks that this should not be a part of a storyline. It very much should be a part of a storyline because right now it's their reality. That's absolutely insensitive. And if you don't want to watch it, then skip it. But this is the reality. Life sucks. The world is on fire and has been for many years now. So, like, really on fire for many years. The world's always on fire, but it's on fire. And it's ridiculous that anyone thinks that it shouldn't be discussed on shows like this. Anyway, that's my rant. Let's move on to Kobe and Emily. So we're headed to the beach to go see his ex. It's weird, but she just wants to hear her side of things. Why? God. And we do find out he was with her for 7 years. And fucking long time. She's like, I mean, I believe my husband, obviously. No, you don't, because here we are. But he tells her that this beach is, for lovers. You take your lovers here and whatever. And she's like, did you bring your girlfriend here? Emily, really? Potentially, yes, he could have. He definitely could have. What are you going to do about it? You going to leave him? You going to divorce him? No, you're not. So why are we here? You know what I mean? He's like, why can't you just let it go? And she's like, I feel like he's not happy that I'm doing this. None of us are, okay? None of us are happy. Like taking up the passenger. None of us are happy about this because this is stupid. But I just need to know. Why? Again, the thing is like, why do you need to know? You don't need to know whether or not he was with this person because it doesn't change the end results. You're going to still stay with him. So what do you need to know? Take his word for it or not, but you don't need to know. The only reason you want to see this girl is because A, you want to see who's prettier. B, you want to stick it in her face that I won, which is fucking horrible. So, like, this is all you're doing. Like, what the fuck? This is so childish. It's so stupid. Like, be mad at him if he technically was with someone, but at the end of the day, you went into this not necessarily wanting it to last either. You saw this hot African man, which, I mean, I get it, and you fucked him because he's a big dick. Totally get that too. Whatever. You fucked him unprotected constantly, and then you got pregnant. That's how you guys ended up where you are. Neither one of you would be together right now if you did not get pregnant with COVID. Neither of you would be together right now. So this whole thing about you and a girlfriend, you clearly didn't give a shit. You really think a man like him looking the way he did and still does was single when you met him? That he potentially didn't have someone back home? You're ridiculous. That's what I'm trying to say is the end result wouldn't change. So what is the point? It's so stupid. So anyway, yeah, they're waiting for her to come, she's like, did you actually text her? Did you not actually watch him do it? Like, and then we kind of see these two women showing up and it's like, is that her? She brought a friend? Which one is it? And it's like, first of all, number one, yeah, she would have brought a friend. She's not coming alone. She's fucking reinforcement. Number two, this is obviously, I know we all know now at this point. I did feel this could have been a fake out. Definitely could have thought it was a fake out. And it was. She didn't show up. And that wasn't her. But she didn't show up either. And we'll talk about that in the next episode. But that is it for episode 12, I think we're on. For this one, that's it for episode 12. Look, this was an hour and a half. The episode was going to be very long. But that's it. So we're going to take a break here, and when we come back, we will jump in with the next episode. And I am back. Coming back to you literally 4 days later after recording the first half. So, yeah. But let's get into it. So, Gino and Jasmine, her first, we're doing episode 13, The Liar, Witch, and the Post-Nup. Yes, we're with Gino and Jasmine first. So, we are apparently shopping for a new washing machine. And he said that he's had his washing machine for about 20 years. Oh, and his dryer broke as well. And Gino wants an agitator in his thing. Why? I mean, listen. We just got a new washing machine. No agitator. It's great. I know the whole thing of making it wash better and all of that. I get it. I know you can get like washers now that you can add the agitator if you need it. But I mean, we have a washing machine without the agitator, which I'm so in love with. You have so much more in there now. And I'm perfectly fine with it. You know what I mean? And you don't need it. Like how dirty your clothes. For real. But anyway. He then finds one that's about $500 with an agitator. Looks like a pretty old school washing machine, except like it does have like the metal on the inside, so which I think is pretty of the standard these days. But so yeah, he finds that. And then Jay says, it's unfair that you have money for the house because like it's a household thing, but you don't seem to have money for the pageant. Okay, listen. I hear the fact that she wants something that she is being told she can't have, and he's having the money for this. But it's like, you need a washing machine. That's pretty essential. And I don't think spending $1,500 or whatever it is for a pageant should trump you getting a washing machine that is pretty required, I would think. Make sure you can go to a laundromat, but you're spending more money in the long run doing that than just buying a new washing machine. So he says that, listen, about that. He's like, I had lunch with Uncle Marco, who basically told him, like, listen, just give her the money, pay the fee, okay? Like, you don't have to have an argument about every little thing. And he says, so, with Uncle Marco's advice, I did pay for the fee. She's like, really? She's very happy. The smile instantly comes on her face, but listen, it's short-lived. He says, yes, but I do have a couple of things that I would, like to go over with you for the payment of said fee. He says, don't start arguments, which I think, okay, fine, that's fair. And don't say hurtful things when we do, which again is, I think, not a lot to ask, honestly. Like, if you are going to argue with someone, which we all do, we all argue with our partners or whatever, you don't have to be hurtful when doing so. And she's like, I don't start arguments. What? You don't start arguments, Jasmine? Pretty sure you have started quite a bit of arguments. I'm sure he has too, of course. They're both toxic. But don't sit here and start acting holier than thou, acting like you never started a fight. You started a fight. Or two. Or three. It's kind of like the mentality of like, did I do that? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. So they literally, in the middle of buying a washing machine, start fighting about not fighting. Seems counterproductive. But she says, listen, If Uncle Marco didn't tell him to pay the fee, he wouldn't have done it. And that's true. I mean, again, you don't need Uncle Marco, as much as we love him, to tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing when it comes to your marriage. If you want to pay the fee, or you agree to pay the fee, pay the fee. If you don't want to pay the fee, then don't pay the fee. Doesn't matter what Uncle Marco has to say. And now, so now he's trying to kind of like condition me. She's like, I'm not a dog, and he is not God. And she's like, he's a fucking bald man. I love her. Those are nudes. Anyway, she's like, thank you. Thank you so much. But I need to thank Uncle Marco. And Gino's like, no, you need to be thanking me for busting my ass to get you here. And here's the thing, number one with this comment. But let's start with Jasmine's comment first. I totally understand her saying I need to thank Uncle Marco, because if it weren't for Uncle Marco, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. But I do think like you do need to thank him as well for paying it, because that's a lot of money. Could be money put to something else, but like you can thank him as well. That's just common decency, whatever. But for Gino to constantly throw in her face, like, I busted my ass to get you here. No one told you. No one fucking told you. You decided to fall in love with a foreign woman who you intended to live with in the States. So you made a decision to then bring her from her country to the States for your benefit, first and foremost. Because she seemed to be living life quite well in Panama with her job that she had, without losing me, without, you sending her nudes everywhere, sir. Okay. She had her kids. She had her family. She was living life. She had Dan. She was living life. You know what I mean? And you thinking you pulled her out of what? You know what I mean? Stop acting like you didn't do this for yourself. Although, I mean, I don't even know, like, pretty strained marriage at the moment, but don't act like he didn't do this for you. So don't keep throwing in her face that I saved you or some shit. I'm with her on this. Like, get the fuck out of here. Who are you talking to? You know what I mean? So she's like, you know what a real man is? Uh-oh. She's like, they are providers. They do not throw it in my face. And listen, there's a lot to say with this. Number one, don't do that. Don't do the, what a real man is. Like, don't do that. Like, okay. My man's my man and I love him, okay? However, he provides, I provide is called equality. We do together. We're a team. We hustle together. We figure life out together. That's what you do. I don't expect him to be a provider. I never want a man to say, I'm the provider. Like, nah, none of that. I don't want you thinking you're the breadwinner and I'm this or that or whatever. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. That's for me though. I'm just saying that for me. But don't do the toxic term of, what a real man is. Like, don't, it's gross. But the one thing that I will say about what she says, which is very true here, and this is something that, in the relationships at least that I've had, that you never have that thing where you want to throw something back at somebody. Like, I did this for you and, where's my payback or some shit? Like, you don't do with the expectation of getting something back in return kind of thing. Or, you shouldn't be throwing things back in people's faces. So I'm with her there. And that is exactly what he does. Like, I busted my ass and this and that. None of that matters. You just, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm with her there. But he retorts back to this fucking thing. Okay. So he says, well, let me tell you what a real woman is. Oh, really? Mr. Patch of Hair, what do you have to say? I really want to know what you think a real woman is. But here we go. This is what he says. He says, a real woman, an attractive one. What the fuck does it even mean? He says, is one that is soft and gentle and not argumentative, when he meant to say argumentative, isn't angry or bitchy. And my first question to this when watching this the first time around was, but you're with Jasmine. You've literally described your wife. Sir, you love that she's all of these things. It's a kink for you. Like, are you kidding me? You literally described Jasmine. I'm so confused. And without missing a beat, she says back to him, then what are you doing with me? Amen. Because I really want to know the answer to this question as well. And he says, well, that is a good question. Yes, Gino, can you answer? We're waiting for you to answer as to why this is the case, because Lord knows none of us understand why you're with her. If you're literally saying everything that you see as negative is what she is. And you know what? Applause to her for self-awareness that she is all of those things. And that's the thing, like, not even just that, but you're with a Latina girl. Latinas are spicy and take no bullshit. You clearly want that because you have a type. So, anyway. But that's basically it with Jasmine and Gino. They're pretty sure this episode. So let's move on to Sophie and Rob. Ugh. Let's just get over with. So, Claire decides that she wants to meet Rob to talk to him about all of this. And Sophie, her dumbass, literally says, maybe this could knock some sense into him. Are you fucking crazy? What do you think that this woman who hates his fucking guts is actually going to knock any kind of sense into him? And what makes you think that Claire actually wants to knock sense into him? Are you okay, ma'am? Like, I'm so confused. First of all, Rob is incapable, and Claire doesn't give a shit. She wants you to leave him. So this is her absolute recipe for disaster. And the fact that she thinks that this is going to work is beyond me. Now here's the other thing too, before I get into it. The fact that you need your mommy to fight your battles with your husband goes to show that you weren't ready for this. Obviously. But you shouldn't be getting Claire involved in this shit between you and your husband. And I totally understand that, like, you feel like you've exhausted all avenues. But that's exactly it. You have exhausted all avenues. So it's time to throw in the towel. Like, that's just me. I think that's a lot of us, actually. So, Claire's like, he's gonna be fake. With the, like, how are yous and shit. No, Claire, that's just common decency. Even if he doesn't give a shit. You know how many times people ask, like, how are you? How's your day? Good morning. How or whatever, or whatever. How are you? It's just, we don't actually care. Like, when we say, how are you doing? Or whatever, or how are you today? It's literally, I just want to hear you say, I'm good, and you, and that's it. For those people who want to ramble on and be like, well, this happened, and that happened, and this, and then no one gives a shit. Now, there are some people who do give a shit because they actually care about your well-being or whatever. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, like, in this instance, when you have two people who fucking loathe each other and are forced to be in each other's lives, no one gives a shit. It's just what humans do. I don't know why, but it's just common decency. That's what you do. So, yeah, she thinks that he'll be fake. And when Sophie called Rob, apparently he mentioned that what Tarai said to him about Sophie just coming here for a green card. Rob, you fucking idiot. Why'd you have to tell her? And the thing is that apparently, according to her, she says that or she says, according to him, that he told her this, that what Tarai was saying, to basically show her, see, Sophie, I'm the supportive husband. I'm the good guy. So why don't you come on back home? No. No. That's not what he's doing. What he's doing is manipulating her. What he's doing is being like, even though I fully believe that he does not believe that Sophie's intentions with him, I believe he believes that. And I believe him in that. Doesn't mean that he's not going to take this opportunity to basically prove to her, I'm the best thing that ever happened to you, even though you're not. And he's using all of this to his advantage to see if, just like Sophie is trying to exhaust all avenues, or thinks that there's more avenues to exhaust, he's doing the same thing. The difference is, though, he's manipulative about it. And she's just naive about it. And obviously manipulation and someone being naive is not a great combination. But when I heard her say that he said that, I'm like, the fuck? No. It's fucking crazy. But Claire says, we have it good in the UK. No shit. This is exactly what I'm saying. Try, you're a fool. Because it's like, she's not coming from a third world country. She lived in fucking London, England. London, fucking England. She probably just has to take like 10 steps to the left and there's Buckingham Palace. Are you fucking dumb? Like, I'm so confused. Anyways, so she's like, we have free healthcare and all this, and now we're here in the fucking States where you have to pay to see a doctor. We don't have that in the UK. We don't have that here in Canada either, We have free healthcare here as well, for the most part. Not everything is covered, but most things. And when it comes to the healthcare system, doctors and all that kind of stuff. Who leaves a country? Listen, like, for example, any place that I decide if I want to move from this country, the only other place I'm going to go to is a place that has free healthcare, because that is what I'm used to. Okay. I'm not going to move from a place with free healthcare to a place that doesn't have free healthcare. No offense, guys. No offense to Americans over there, but I'm not going to do it unless I truly did fall in love with somebody that I'm willing to sacrifice the free healthcare for. Right? So to Rai being like, oh, she just, no, she's such an idiot. Anyway, and then that's just the toxicity of, no offense again, guys, of the American kind of being like, everyone wants to come to the land of the free. No, they don't. We have seen people on these shows who don't give a shit about the land of the free. No one does. Okay? Some do. But they get a rude freaking awakening. And that's the same thing here in Canada. I'm not saying that people who live in other countries who come to Canada think they're going to have a better life here. 1,000% people think they'll have a better life here. And they come to the country and they're like, ooh, not so great. But, so Claire says that I'm going to confront him because you are my daughter. Okay? But I will be calm. I will try to be calm. But she says, I will move back to England with you if you decide you want to go back to England. Or, even better yet, we can get a place of for our own over here. And Sophie's like, no. I do think Sophie would go back to England if she just feels like she doesn't want to be in the States anymore. But she doesn't want to do that with her mother. So she's like, but I have to follow you. No, you don't. Anyway, so we're on the way to meet up with Rob. And she's like, maybe, again, she says maybe she can talk sense into him, which again, I don't understand how and why she thinks that that's ever possible between Claire and Rob. I mean, she calls him Rob the Knob. Let's rephrase here. She's literally calling him Dick. Okay? And not the good kind. And, like, no. There's not going to be any. She doesn't want you with him. And you know it. Anyway, Rob shows up. And he's like, give me a hug. I like your dress. Oh, so now you want to start complimenting her? Because the last time you didn't do that, Rob, it's a little too fucking late. Just like Jojo said, it's just too little too late. Okay? Seriously. So, either go, we're drinking already, just sit down and get a drink and shut the fuck up, Rob. Please. Please. And Sophie doesn't know what cicadas are because you can hear the cicadas in the background. She's like, what is that? And Rob's like, they're cicadas. And she's like, what cicadas? First of all, listen, you don't need to be in a country that has cicadas to know what cicadas are. Okay? And they're ugly motherfuckers. But like, you don't need to be living in a country, or in this case, the state that has cicadas. And I mean, I don't think we have cicadas here at least in Ontario where I am. But we definitely get like those. No, it's definitely not cicadas, because these things are annoying hearing on the TV. That we don't have those. We have something, but it's not a bug that makes like this weird sound. But anyways, you don't need to be in a place that have cicadas to know what cicadas are. How does she not know what cicadas are? Like, I can understand if you don't even know what they look like, because I didn't know what they look like either, maybe before like a year ago when I decided to Google cicadas and realized they're ugly motherfuckers. But you don't even, just generally speaking, know the cicada is a bug and what they typically, like, roughly sound like. Like, how do you not know that? Anyways, I don't know. Maybe they don't have, I bet they don't have cicadas in England. Of course not. But I think, do cicadas need to be in more humid climates? And I'm not sure. I'm assuming, which obviously that is not England. But anyways, yep, we talk about cicadas. And then we talk about, I think about Claire's leg or something, and he's something about whatever. But, and Sophie says, drunk Rob is the best. I like drunk Rob. Can drunk Rob be there all the time? Now, let me explain all of the things that make this not great. A great comment to make. Number one, generally speaking, that drunk Rob is the best is problematic in and of itself. Let's promote him drinking and then the best sides of him come out. Okay. Number two, with her being the daughter of a mother who was an alcoholic and a drug addict and all of these other things, and her having to literally Narcan her mom because she's ODing, okay? This is problematic on so many fronts. She's literally saying, it's normal for me to be around people who are under the influence of something. So, whatever. It's really sad. Like, I've not been exposed to that as a child. My mom barely drinks. She told me stories of drinking some form of alcohol and thought it was juice, and it was not. My mom's not a drinker like that. And I haven't really been exposed to people who overdo it in even for relationships. My ex wasn't really a huge drinker. He did drink, but he wasn't like a drinker to the point of getting drunk or anything like that. I mean, his maybe drug of choice was weed, but he didn't to that extent. My current, though, is a recovering and has been doing really well for some time now, but I know what that feels like. I mean, again, my boyfriend drunk was not fun. He was an asshole, actually. But I still, even if he wasn't, still would not choose that. I'll put this in perspective for me to make sense of what she says. Like, she says, drunk Rob is nice, and and he's probably nice to her and showers her with everything because he's drunk. My boyfriend drunk was probably sometimes the best day of my life. But it doesn't matter. Not the only. Some. Not the only. I would rather have the worst sex of my life and know he is sober. Because first and foremost, yes, I want my happiness, but I want him to be healthy. And let's use that as an example, basically what she is saying, that in order for me to have my happiness, I need you to be unhealthy. And she also be unhealthy in that moment too. Like, I need the unhealthiness of you being drunk for me to be what I think is happy. I mean, that's sad. And if that is how you feel, why are you trying to make this relationship work? It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, Claire says, well, your marriage is horrible, okay? She's like, your reaction at the sex shop was disgusting. I mean, disgusting is a harsh word, but I mean, it wasn't great, obviously. But then Sophie is like, it wasn't like on purpose or anything. What the fuck? Sophie, to us, the viewer, to Rob, your husband, you were freaking the fuck out over his reaction at the sex shop. So much so that you literally got out of the car as soon as you could. You left the apartment crying for Kay as soon as you could. You're telling Kay and your mom that he is so fucking horrible, that he isn't nice to me. Yet in front of Rob and your mom, you literally say, well, it wasn't on purpose though. Are you kidding me? Keep the same fucking energy with everyone separate when you are together. Are you kidding? I'm so irritated because she's done this before. We saw her do this before. I think before they were married, there was some sort of situation where she did this as well. And are you kidding? And I actually agree with Claire here when she says, don't do that. Because you're telling me in front of Kay that he's an asshole. I mean, yes, you're saying that you love him and you want to make it work and you're holding on to what you think Rob is, but in the grand scheme of things, what happened in your perspective was unforgivable, or whatever term you want to use. But in front of Rob and your mom together, you're just like, well, it wasn't on purpose. No, it according to you, because I don't think it was necessarily on purpose. I think he's just an asshole and can't read the room and makes it about him. Because the whole reaction was because he felt like he was an idiot in the moment, which it's like, just have fun, He's incapable of having fun. Her reaction sucked too. But, like, you literally said that this was problematic for you. And you, I guess, maybe felt in the moment that he was doing it on purpose. I don't know. I can't speak for her. But you literally are like, you're saying one thing and doing the next thing. That's confusing. Just keep the same energy. That's all I'm asking. No, sorry, I said that right. So Rob says, I am trying, but she distanced herself from me. And he says, am I wrong? And Claire says, yes, you are. And here's the fuck why, okay? And she's like, let me rephrase this. She literally says to him, yes, you are. Here's the thing of clever clogs. Clever clogs? What is clever clogs? I don't know what it is, but I'm probably going to use it. Clever clogs. Anyway, so yeah, clever clogs. Here we go. So she's like, you told her what Tarai said, okay? Okay. Which, why would you do that? We've talked about it. And he says, but I defended her. I didn't talk shit. But no, he didn't necessarily talk shit. But, and yes, maybe to some degree you defended her. I'm not debating all of that. But it is the mere fact that you went and then told her. Let it just happen. She's gonna see this, eventually. So it's like, let all this happen naturally, that she's gonna see. Doing the work isn't being like, look what I did for you today. It's just doing it. And it will show. Like, that's the issue here. But anyways, he says, I'm not happy. But if two people love each other, then you would try to work it out. And yeah, I hear him here. And I think there's no debating that on Sophie's side too, that that's what you would do, even if you shouldn't. But Claire just takes it up a notch. She's like, oh my God, you see, this is why you can't be with him. Why? I'm confused. I mean, there's many reasons why she shouldn't be with him, but based on what he just said, what's wrong with what he said? I'm confused. Like I said, there's many reasons why you shouldn't be with him, but just basing it in this moment, like, this is where you feel or see the manipulation on Claire's part in a full force, and how you learn that she's worse than even him in many ways. Like, I know he said some nasty shit to her, and I do know this, and I'm not condoning what he said, but this is her mother. The woman who birthed her, raised her, was supposed to take care of her. It just feels worse coming from her. But anyways, Claire basically says, like, you could end all of this, by just owning it. And Rob says, I'm trying, but you want her to leave me. Yes, she does. Yes, she does. But again, like, what is trying for him? I can't speak to that. But anyways, while Sophie is talking to Rob, Claire just interrupts. And this is the problem. You can't have a third person a part of a conversation like this. This is between you and him. Whether it continues on or it ends here or whatever, or it's a to be determined or something. Your mom shouldn't be here. So Rob was like, why are you here, Claire? Ask Sophie. Sophie's the reason she's here. Sophie's like, yeah, maybe bringing my mom here was a mistake. You fucking think. Your mom hates him. Why would you bring him here? But yeah, I think Claire says, like, I don't think she should be there with you. And Rob says, like, that's not your choice. And it's not Claire's choice. It is Sophie's choice, but Sophie's made her choice twice by leaving. Like, someone needs to throw the towel in, on this whole thing. And Claire's like, you want to bet? She's like, if her father was here, which he's not, he would be telling you all of this. Well, Rob basically tells her in this moment, well, you know what? You haven't had a lot of luck with a lot of good men. in your life, and maybe you just don't know a good one when they should come along. That's absolute shit. Cause still waiting on the world to change, Rob, because you ain't it. But Sophie says to Claire, "You're being rude." Interesting. Wasn't expecting that. And she's like, "I'm trying to stop him, I think." And he's like, "You can't stop me," or whatever the fuck. And then Claire gets up to leave crying. This is where the manipulation took a top notch, right? And says to Sophie in front of Rob, "Why can't you just fall out of love with him? He is a horrible disgrace." This is a horrible thing to be saying to somebody, even if, because Rob's an asshole, but like, this is a horrible thing to say to somebody. But Sophie leaves with her, and she's like, "He is so mean to you." And Rob says, "Claire is manipulative, that's for sure." He says that she is trying to create a wedge between us. Yep. And Claire is just crying, saying, talking to him is like talking to someone in a mental asylum. Jesus. And he's like, "It just makes me sad that she's falling in love. She's already been in love, but anyways, falling in love with someone not good for her." Well, too late for that, but anyway. Sophie goes back to Rob, and this is what I mean. In front of them together, she says that Claire was being rude. But with Claire out of the picture and just Rob here, she says to him, "You just gotta be more careful what you say to her." What the fuck? What the fuck? I'm not saying that he should be an asshole to her mom. That's not how this goes. However, she was being really rude to him, saying really hurtful things, and he needs to be careful with what he says. How about we say the same thing to her, you know? And she says, "I think you should go and apologize to her." And he says, "I think it would be best to talk to her after we figure things out." And I don't know. I mean, I think on one hand, it feels like a manipulative tactic as well, that he's like, "Listen, let's keep all of the noise out of the way. Let's figure things out." Just because of who he is, it can feel that way. But at the same time, I don't disagree with him. I think in any normal situation, in any normal quote unquote relationship where you don't have this narcissist in the mix, this is how you should handle it. You know, C, D, F, and G don't need to be a part of the equation until A and B figure it out. You know, it's, I don't think it's actually too much to ask. But she says, "I can't keep standing up for you." The fuck? You just did. I'm so confused. And she's like, "I just don't want to be in the middle." Like, I didn't, yeah, she just doesn't want to be put in the middle, which again, I totally understand that she shouldn't have to be in the middle, but you've put yourself there in these situations where you have mom and Rob, who is like, you want mom to knock the sense into him. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. But then Sophie leaves to check on her mom, but she just full out dips. She doesn't come back at all. But yeah, that's it for Rob and Sophie. Let's talk about Patrick and Thais. So someone mentions that they're not going to be having the party at Jose's ranch. They say that doesn't make any sense to have to renovate anything. John does ask Patrick, "Why do you want to do it there anyways?" And he says, "Well, having to basically like spend money on the extra shit as well as the actual party is just too much." But Thais is like, "Who cares about rocks?" Right? And John responds with, "Jose." cares about the rocks? And Patrick says, listen, my dad has a lot. I get it. But he is the only parent that I have left. And this is where I said, ding, ding, ding. There it is. He's doing a lot of things because he doesn't want to be abandoned by the other parent that he has left. Even though I believe he has definitely abandoned him in times. And he's going through this out of guilt. And with, I guess, wanting to ensure that he has a decent relationship with his father when he had a complicated one with his mom. So it's actually very sad. But as we know, he talks about his mom, who we did meet in their last season, was not doing good. She was sick, and she did pass away. And Thais says, listen, my dad would never charge to do the party on his property. And Thais is like, he charges for the apartment, and he also does his laundry in the apartment as well, because he actually doesn't own a washer and a dryer. And although, like, they kind of make a big deal out of this, it's his apartment. He owns it. If you're not there and there's a washer and dryer just sitting there begging to be used, why not? Like, he's allowed to do that if he so wants to. Like, I don't think he should be charging you, like, for the water usage or anything like that when you're not there. But, I mean, or honestly, should be charging you at all. But, yeah, I don't see a problem with him using the facilities at this place. But Thais says that we spend about $20,000 a year on the rent in Brazil. Lord. But John says maybe we need to put the apartment up for sale. And Patrick's like, I don't want to move. And the apartment is sentimental to me. The pictures. God damn it, the pictures. And John's like, you can move the pictures. And he's like, yeah, but then there's the memories. Well, but now the families are going to be meeting each other at dinner. So this will be quite interesting. So we are headed to dinner to meet the family. Hopefully the dads can be friends, John says. Who knows? But if all else fails, just put Alicia in the middle of them and all's going to be just fine. But here comes Jose. They're at the place now, and he comes, and then we have Angela, who's actually Thais' mom, and we get a little bit of a backstory here as well. She says that her parents got divorced when she was 11, then her mom left her, just up and dipped. But now, since Alicia, they have kind of connected more. They're in a better relationship now, so that's really good. And why was John yelling at her mom, thinking that if I yell in English really loud, she'll definitely understand me? Why do we do that? Why do humans do that? Anyway, then we have Carlos just looking like a fucking snack. And they're like, here's John. And he's like, oh, the noisy one? Yeah, that's the one. And he's like, should I sit on his lap? It's funny, but John is like, I don't know what is happening, but I think Carlos likes me. Yeah, I actually don't know if he does. But anyway, then Thais tells everyone about Jose wanting to charge for the property, for the party. And Carlos basically kind of just says in this moment, he has a nerve to be charging. And Jose responds with, well, it's really none of your business. I didn't ask for approval. Basically is what he wants to say. I didn't ask for your approval. But yeah, that's basically it for Patrick and Thais, let's move on to Kyle and Kyle. I'm thinking Love in Paradise, Kobe and Emily. So this is really quick, basically, as we all kind of saw. It was a fake out. Nothing happened here. It is not her. She did not bring a friend because she didn't show up. And, it's been it was like 15 minutes past the time she was supposed to be there, and she was a no-show. And Emily asked, like, you don't think that she's showing up? And he's like, maybe she's not showing up because I did say that you were going to be here, so maybe she doesn't want to deal with it. No, she didn't. No, she didn't. She didn't handle it well. Fuck. But anyways, Emily basically says, well, I am not leaving here till I get answers. From whom? He gave you the answers, you know what I mean? And you still decided that it was a good fucking idea to do this. I'm gonna have thoughts, don't worry. Until I may have said before in the first part, I can't remember, but we're gonna say it here. So he's like, okay, so what do you want to know? And she says, who broke up with who? And he says, well, here's the thing. We never actually officially broke up with each other. And she says, like, did you still love her? And he's like, listen, I did not ask you about how many guys you fucked. Okay. And he's like, I was just living life in China. And she's like, well, yeah, you did. And she was, so now Emily's like, so she was basically a backup then? And he's like, well, I mean, I guess if you want to put it that way, then yeah. He's like, she says, I just want to make sure that you were falling in love with me while you were, like, without, like, being in love with your whole heart. Like, you were giving half of it to your ex, that kind of thing. And he says, I did not love her. That's bullshit. Yes, you did. But you don't love her now, and that's fine, but you definitely did. And he says, I do not have any other secrets that I'm hiding from you. And he's like, so are you okay? And she's like, I mean, I feel betrayed. For what? We'll get to it. And she's like, it basically took me getting pregnant for you to like break up with your ex. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what the fuck happened. And basically they kind of kiss and make up, and that's basically it. Now here are my thoughts and here are my feelings on this. So the thing is that you went to China, whatever. You had fun, whatever. You meet this really hot guy with the six pack and the body yaddy yaddy, and you decided that I want that body yaddy yaddy all over my body yaddy yaddy. You know what I mean? And that is okay. All right. Now, typically, I think you should use protection, but it's neither here nor there when it is what it is. Basically, it worked out in the end, but you didn't. And you just assume he's telling you the truth, that he didn't have a girlfriend. Chances are when you fucked him that first time, you didn't give a shit whether he had a girlfriend or he didn't have a girlfriend. You probably just wanted, you just wanted his dick. And you know what? That's okay. That's perfectly fine. I get it. We all get it here, but it's just like, don't pretend like you gave a shit that he had a girlfriend or not. Don't pretend like you gave a shit. You didn't. Okay? You didn't give a shit that he was in a relationship. Now, sure, you got pregnant and whatever, but the fact that you think that you and him even stood a chance of survival if it weren't for you getting pregnant is ridiculous. The only reason you guys are married right now is because you did get pregnant. And that's great. At least it worked for you, because it sure as fuck didn't last for sure long. What's her face? You know what I mean? So take it for what it is. They are happy. They are in love. They are on baby number 3 now, and they're living life. They're good, and that's fine. But not everyone's origin story is this blissful Disney movie. You know what I mean? This is not. it can be dirty. It can. Like, listen, that's just the reality of it. You know, it is what it is. I mean, I didn't ask many questions. I mean, I basically, took his word for that he was single when I met him, but my boyfriend, I assumed position and asked questions later. And and it worked out fine. It's great that it worked out that way. I didn't get pregnant, but like, it worked out that way. And it is what it is. But it's just like, stop acting like this isn't what was gonna, that it was gonna happen this way. That's not what your intentions were. You just wanted to fuck. And that's what we all want to do. So whatever. It's, if anything, and I think she kind of says this, she's acting like she's so upset that he liked her. The person who should be more upset in this equation is his ex-girlfriend. She wasted her best fucking years with this fucking guy for 7 fucking years, and it went nowhere. Now, this is the thing. I can't remember. It's probably been about 4 or 5 years now since, like, Colin. So we're going to say 5 years is rounded up or something. And he's 36, I believe. 35, 36. So she wasted most of her fucking 20s with this fucking guy. And I love Kobe, don't get me wrong. But she wasted her 20s with this fucking guy. The minute that he went out to China and fucked a white girl, no offense, and got her knocked the fuck up, she's pissed. And she should be. She's probably fine now, whatever it is. But that doesn't mean that she wants to then meet the girl you left me for. Are you fucking kidding me? Absolutely the fuck not. Absolutely not. And she should not want to meet her. Deuces, I won. I'm the one with the ring. I'm the one with the kids. I'm the one with the man. Here we are planning our second wedding as if the first one didn't happen. And it's just like, who cares? It is what it is. Anyway. That's it for Kobe and Emily, and I think we're done with this fucking storyline of theirs. Let's move on to Ashley and Manuel. Again, not a lot here, but this is after the prenup or postnup conversation. And she said like they haven't really talked much since they left the lawyer, and I'm like, were you expecting to have a big ass conversation with him? Anyway, he says, if it weren't for the lawyer, if it weren't for that, I wouldn't have any fucking clue that you're 100K in debt. I don't care what kind of debt it is. He doesn't give a shit. He's like, you is in debt and you didn't tell me. Okay. And he says, you got all of this debt? Because what the fuck you keep doing, witch? You keep spending. Why do you keep doing that? He's like, what about saving? Saving is a beautiful fucking thing to know that you have money to fall back on, Why can't you do that? And she's like, for what? Why would I save? Oh, I don't know, maybe the future. Okay? He says, you're irresponsible. Now, as we know, this is student loan. It's not the end-all be-all of debt, okay? But in other ways, yes, she can be irresponsible. I mean, my girl's drinking about 30 cups of coffee a day, and not all of it is from home. Some of it's from Starbucks. And it's just like, yeah. But they're going to go into the market to get some stuff that they need to purchase. Seems like a great time to go grocery shopping. And so we're only getting the necessities correct. We're not overspending because you like to overspend. Next thing you know, we're 100K in debt from the market. And she's like, yes, we're only buying the essentials. And he says, you should have told me. You should have told me about the debt when I got here. And he also says, you get mad because you think I haven't told you everything. But would you look at that? 100K of student loan just popped up that I didn't fucking know about. Who knew? You did, but you didn't tell me. He is a sassy queen. But he's like, look how the tables have turned. And she's like, I did tell you. You just forgot. Like, no, she didn't. She didn't fucking tell him. You didn't make her low. She's like, I don't know what's wrong with you. Like, I told you. The my fault you forgot. You didn't tell him shit. And he's like, oh, I have amnesia now. You're a doctor, not a witch. Who knew? And he's like, so you went to medical school. I did not know this. And he's like, all I want is responsibility. We have to think about the future. For example, my brother, you see, he's been asking for money, right? And this is in times where we're responsible about the money. You know, we could be then sending money to my brother. And she's like, how much does your brother need? He's like, just $300. I mean, come on, how much is that? $300 fucking dollars, sir. What the fuck? And she's like, for why? And he's like, and I kid you the fuck not, he literally says, Nunya. Nunya. Well, I see Nunya $300 into the account that you can give to your brother. Sounds about right, huh? What the fuck? Listen, I'm not saying she shouldn't have told you about the student loan debt. I think he does need to educate himself on what student loan debt means in America as well as in Canada. It's not that serious of a situation. However, he is not helping things when he is absolutely capable of opening up about the money he wants her to send to his family. It's ridiculous. But she says, but wait a minute, I put $1,000 into the account, his account. Now you want more? Like, what the fuck happened? And he says, it's my problem. No, it's the fuck not just your problem when you're asking her for more money. She doesn't make that much money. There's not a lot of people out in the world who are going to pay $777.77 on her witchcraft. You know what I mean? Or for $144.44 on whatever the fuck. No one's doing that. Okay? Nobody. So, where the fuck do you think $300 is coming from? Where do you think? Anyway. She says to him, I think it's one of the best lines, I am your family, not your bank. Understand that? I don't know. But yeah, that's basically that. But I think that's it for the couples. Because that's everybody. But yeah, that's basically it for that. This was, decent enough episode, but we're not going to do any next time on because obviously the next episode already aired, so we're not going to do that. But yeah, that's basically that. And I am apologizing for the lateness on this episode, but you'll be, getting all of the episodes, which is as quickly as possible. But that is it for the episode for HEA, as well as for this episode of the podcast. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Week Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube, and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.